My name is Barry Smith, and I'm the historian at Lincoln Park Presbyterian Church in Chicago. I'm here to deliver the Ralph Carter Papers to the Presbyterian Historical Society. Well, Ralph Carter lives in Rochester, New York. He is retired. He is a member and elder at Third Presbyterian Church in Rochester since I think he joined in 1979. He has been involved with Presbyterians for Lesbian and Gay Concerns, which I will pronounce as PLGC, so I don't have to say that long name every time. The More Light Churches Network and More Light Presbyterians, having served on the board there for a number of years. He's also involved in a lot of civic organizations that were promoting the equality of LGBTQIA people in the Rochester and upstate New York area. In more recent years, he's gotten involved in anti-racism work. So he was involved on the board of the More Light Churches Network for 4 years, and then even after that he attended meetings because he managed all the resource packets that were going out to churches that were inquiring about what it was like to be a More Light church. And then he served on More Light Presbyterians for a total of 6 terms, 14 years, which is believed to be a record for anybody to date on More Light Presbyterians. And then at Third Church, I would say that he was one of the catalysts at that congregation that brought about that becoming a More Light church in 1987. And also there was a organization, another early organization in the More Light movement called Create Justice that ran from 1981 to 1988. And that was funded by the Presbytery of the Genesee Valley. And Ralph was on board with that from the very beginning. It was a community-based ecumenical group that got together from several denominations, including Catholics, to work on civil rights for LGBTQ people. They sort of sidestepped a lot of the other theological questions that often bogged down movements in the early stages like this, and they concentrated on the civil rights thing, which actually converted a lot of people that were skeptical of what the whole More Light movement was about. After he had served what has to date been his last term on More Light Presbyterians, I think it was in the class of 2016, when that ended, he donated all of his papers, which were 4 large bins of stuff, to Alex McNeil, who at that time was the executive director of More Light Presbyterians. And More Light Presbyterians really doesn't have an office, central office anywhere. Alex was moving them again. Every time he moved, he had to move these. He knew that I had organized and indexed the Davidson papers, so he asked me, would I be willing to take possession of the papers and look through them and see if there was anything there worthy of donating to the Historical Society. And this was, I believe, Alex brought them over in February of 2021. So I've had them about 2.5 years. I saw right away that there were a lot of records here that I thought would be a valuable addition to at the Historical Society. Ralph was consulted, and he was actually thrilled to hear that it would be coming to the Presbyterian Historical Society. Well, they cover pretty much from 1980 to 2022. When he gave them, they stopped in 2016, but I had some miscellaneous materials from the More Light movement that I just included so that it carried on a little bit more to complete some of the stories that were beginning to unfold in 2016. 3/5 of the collection is records of PLGC, the More Light Churches Network, and More Light Presbyterians. And just to clarify for people that might not know this, the More Light Churches Network was sort of spun off from PLGC in 1992, with the More Light churches sort of organizing their own yearly conferences. And that lasted until through 1998, when they realized that the 2 organizations were better together, so they merged, and that's what formed More Light Presbyterians in 1999. And so those records are there in the papers. I think the Ralph Carter papers are a great continuation of the Davidson papers. The Davidson papers start in 1974 when he began the Presbyterian Gay Caucus, which has evolved into the More Light Presbyterians. He died in 1987, and again I added materials to carry the story forward. But they sort of thin out in the 90s, and that's where Ralph's stuff really starts strong. It's almost makes one complete record from 74 up into the teens and to the present day.